we all know that something is going on in North America. Let me tell you that what we do have a problem with right now is that there's a culture war going on. And so I do have a share. We're going to have an interview right now with Matt Alexander. And the Justice Center has taken on their case because this precious couple have both lost their positions as teachers for not celebrating the LGBTQ, not speaking out against it or, you know, having a problem and, you know, being super vocal or being rude or anything like that, but for simply standing. And this is the father of Josh Alexander. Earlier today, I was able to interview Matt Alexander, and here's how it went down. I'm really honored to have Matt Alexander with us today, and many of you in North America have heard about this story. Josh Alexander is a profound Canadian young man. And because he wanted to have girls have protected spaces in his school where there had been an issue with transgender bathrooms, Josh fought for the privacy of the girls in the school. Now, this went viral because all kinds of stuff happened, even arrests. He was taken away. He was kicked out of his school and to this day has not been able to return to complete his studies, all because he felt and in such a profound way was stating that his friends, women, young women that he knew in the school, you know, girls of high school age, didn't feel that they wanted to share a bathroom, you know, with boys. And so this story went super big. And I want to start this because recently I have realized that this is a huge issue in our world. And as Christians, we have certain beliefs and things that we feel are absolutely profoundly foundational to our beliefs. And we have a requirement that we love above all. And so as we make stands, it's important, and I want to say right now, that God loves the LGBTQ, that God has freedom and has your best in mind. And we do not want to exacerbate a fight that will already be there because there's going to be spiritual issues at play. But this is interesting with this story with my guest today, because Matt Alexander has been so respectful. Josh Alexander has even been so very respectful. It has come down to issues of everyone being respected. And interestingly, it is those, and I would dare say Sikh, Muslim, Jews, Christians, this is the population that makes up the most of Canada, have a belief. They have a fundamental belief in biological integrity and facts regarding men and women. So this is now becoming a huge debate and a problem in secular society. So how do we navigate it? Well, it isn't easy. And I would like you to understand today that there are people that are having to pay the price as this gets sorted out. Before we get started, I'd like to show you a clip of this incredible young man, Josh Alexander, and his father is who we'll be speaking with today. This is Josh Alexander on Professor Jordan Peterson's podcast.
You look at our culture today, and the number one thing that's under attack is the nuclear family, right? Mm-hmm. The Bible tells us.
Gender might be under attack.
But that itself is attacking
fair
the
enough.
family.
Yeah.
And all of it leads back to the nuclear family. And the Bible tells us, honor thy father and thy mother.
Well, we've got Josh's father and Matt Alexander. I just welcome you to the show. You must be so proud of this kid. You know? I mean,
100%.
Like, he's amazing. I have had opportunity to spend time with your son. He's one of the most profound people on the planet. He is kind. He is not given to, nastiness. He is full of wisdom. He's articulate, and he's courageous. And you've done well. And both of your sons are phenomenal. And so I just want to let you know that not only are you definitely have been an incredible teacher with a spotless, blemishless record other than what's happened with this situation, you are an incredible father. And you and Nicole are to be honored for all of that.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Really, we just tried to obey God in the way we raised our family, and we made plenty of mistakes, but God saw it through, and to him be the glory.
It's very nice. You know, a lot of people struggle with their kids, and a lot of people are just wondering what's happened to this generation, and he is just a bright light, and I love him. How old is Josh at this point?
So Josh is 19.
19, and then your other son, his name is?
Nick. Yeah. So Nick did a lot of work with Josh in getting the message out, and he suffered pretty greatly too. So yeah, he'd be 21.
Yeah. So Nick is actually older than Josh.
That's right.
Yeah, they look kind of similar. So very well done. And Nick has also been so very courageous and has had to take some hits. Before we get into this story, to give some background, would you tell us when you first realized that there was a bit of a kerfuffle with what was going on in Josh's school and why?
Yeah, so it would be late 2022. Josh, we took Josh from the public school board where I taught and Nicole taught, and we moved him over to the Catholic school board in our county. And he got there, and very shortly after starting class in the fall, some issues arose. There were a number of not real problems, but the staff attitude towards freedom was not very positive, and so Josh had some discussions about that. But something came up where the girls came to him as her classmates and said, Josh, we've got these boys in our washroom, and we don't feel safe. It was creepy. And
this
so
is
Josh,
a Catholic school?
Catholic school board, yeah.
A
That's right,
Catholic
high school.
School
Yes.
has implemented a policy that boys and girls share the bathrooms. I mean, this
That's
is
right.
one of the very interesting parts of this.
It is, and we're not Catholic, but we sent him to the Catholic school. We thought for various reasons it would be better at the time. But yeah, remember their funding comes from the government, and the government has their agenda. So the Catholic school board had to make a decision: do we want government funding, or do we want to stand on Christian principles? And they made their choice.
Wow. So there began to be an issue because Josh, just as a young man, a courageous young man, being raised to, be protective and have a sense of, to speak out and not be silent, he begins defending and promoting, I guess, that there should be maybe some changes and that this shouldn't be happening in the school.
That's right. He went to the office and he asked the principal, to have a discussion about it. Is there something we can do because the girls aren't comfortable? The girls were afraid to go to the office, so they asked Josh to do it for them. He did that, met resistance there at the office. Things heated up to where he even had teachers discussing disgusting things. They were talking about male breastfeeding in, I think it was math class, and you wonder where the curriculum connection comes to that. But, Josh called that out and said, well, isn't that pedophilia? How do you take babies and promote that? Anyway, he brought up discussions that he didn't initiate discussions. So that these were teacher initiated things. But anyways, so the things grew, and Josh pursued a discussion with the office about what to do about boys and girls washrooms. And after being shut right down, he said, okay, well, we're going to call a protest and have people come and just peacefully protest outside the school to voice their concern. He did so, and as soon as that protest was announced, he was suspended. That suspension, was extended, was escalated to something they call an exclusion, which after over 20 years in teaching, I had never heard of. I mean, you can be suspended and you could be expelled, but the fact that someone could be excluded from school, which we're told is not a punitive measure, I'm not sure what they call it, but he was excluded from school, not to return. And when he decided he was going to go to his, I believe it was a shop class one day after the exclusion, he arrived at school and they phoned the police and arrested him. He was taken away in a cruiser at the school. So, so he continued to voice that message. He wasn't allowed to be in school. So he said there's only two genders and the girls should have their rights preserved and guarded. And it just escalated. He was asked to come around to different places. I think I see on the screen there when he went to Calgary. There was a protest there to support Josh's stand, and he went there to preach the gospel and to give out Bibles. And you can see he was attacked. And if you keep rolling the video, he's the one that gets arrested. He's got his hands in the air. He's just walking. They're pushing him all over the place. They actually jammed their hand down his pants. So I know one individual had 4 charges. The 4 people, I think, in total were charged. The results of that, I'm not really sure. But yeah, he was attacked and arrested.
So that was later that these other individuals were charged?
Yes, yeah.
Who
they were
attacked
charged
him?
later on.
Yeah.
That's right.
But that day, he's arrested.
He was put in the paddy wagon that day. Yeah.
Put in the
that's right.
paddy wagon. I mean.
And of course, released, no charges. Like that's always the same story.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
That is, I just can imagine that as a dad, seeing this happen to your son, this has been difficult too. And I want to just let in advance the audience know that because of Josh's stand, you and your wife were taken to task with no good reason on any actions on your part, but were eventually released from your jobs. And so that's where all of this is going, everybody. And this is a serious issue for all of us in Canada, that if you have an alternate spiritual view, as the Muslims do, the Sikhs, the Christians, the Jews, and atheists as well. I've heard from them. The atheists say that they're in absolute agreement, that there should be a respect of biological reality. And this is exactly what was not respected in this school, Catholic school. And Josh stands up, speaks, gets arrested, gets attacked, and it has continued, actually.
That's right.
Josh.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep. So
yeah, continue to tell me what the important facts on this.
Yeah, so I mean, just a little bit more on what the boys did, what Josh and Nick did. After that, they held an event in Ottawa with Chris Elston, Billboard Chris, and that was a huge event, and there was a huge turnout against Josh and Nick and Chris and their supporters. Quite a large event, pretty eventful. And that fueled other people to also protest at the school board in Ottawa. And actually the Muslim community actually came out in support in quite large numbers. Eventually to the next year, Josh held a protest in Toronto, actually, and that's where Nick was assaulted. Well, there was the 1 million person March for Children. Of course, that happened on the 20th of September, I believe, and Josh led that one in Ottawa. And and 2 days later, his brother Nick was attacked and cut above the eye with a blade of some sort at a protest. And guess who got arrested? Nick was arrested and taken away and held for hours, taken to the hospital, stitched up, and then released without charges. So it's the usual story. If you speak up for the right, you will be very, very quickly and abruptly silenced. So.
Wow. Okay, so this is hard. So imagine that in Canada, you're a parent, you've got some kids who really believe in, males are males, females are females, and at least respect each other's perspective on it. It does come down to respect, Matt. And this is what is said by the other side. It's about respect, but there is, I would say, it's more difficult to get respect back for the people that are not, willing to accept this situation where there are some that believe that we have to be accepting of views that do not respect biological realities. And so this is the war. This is the war that Olympic athletes have now been in, people that are on volleyball teams and track meets. This is the war that has come. And so you might have been surprised, a little bit that all of a sudden your sons are in the middle of this. So you're kind of watching all of this happen, I guess. And it's kind of out of your purview, and your sons are actually adults. They're not kids really anymore, definitely at this age.
That's right. Yeah. So, it was after Josh held an event in Toronto, which I think I skipped over. He held an event at Toronto. It was the first time he'd done anything at a public school board. Went down York Mills, I think is where it was. And when they were out there preaching, the school emptied. Hundreds of kids came out. They came out supporting Josh and Nick and the other Save Canada supporters there. And Josh had the opportunity to give out all kinds of Bibles. It was a fantastic event. There was good discussion. And days after that, I was received a phone call and was told I was suspended and under investigation. I wasn't to return to work.
Wow. Okay, so they say you get this phone call. You're not to return. And so what happens? You must have had questions. Were you kind of examining something that may have happened, an incident in your class? Were you wondering what it was all about? Well,
I know how I operate. I know there were no incidents in my class. That was just a no-brainer. It was clear to me from my perspective what it was related to, that there was a connection between my son's activity and my suspension, because I hadn't done anything. The initial call I got, the principal gave me no details, which is kind of standard protocol. But the union told me in the morning, well, Matt, it's about your posts, your online posts. And I said, well, that's interesting because I don't have social media. I didn't have any social media. It was pretty old fashioned. I kind of archaic that way. So that caused some confusion, but it would appear that it was anonymous posts made about me by others in relation to Josh's activism. So that was, I guess, the trigger for the suspension. And they spent months investigating and looking for things that they could use against me. And then my wife's suspension followed shortly thereafter.
Yes. Now, is this the point where a picture that you have sent me with me and you, your sons in the shot, is this the point where that became an issue?
Yes. So, in fact, that photo was, I believe, taken the very same day that my wife was suspended. So one of the things the board took issue with was that photo. I was informed of that. That photo was put online by somebody. I don't even know who. So yeah, yourself, the first time I'd met you, Myself, I believe my boys are in it. Artur Pavlovsky's in it, and Chris Dacey is in it, and videographer from Ottawa. And that picture apparently indicates that I don't support board policies on diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Okay.
So,
And
with yourself and Artur Pavlovsky,
Artur.
I guess you don't align with board policies. So you can't stand with a Christian leaders, Christian spokespeople, and be a teacher in Ontario, apparently.
Right. And so definitely I have been outspoken in Canada. I've had numerous rallies where we were letting people know about SOGI, because this was something in Canada implemented in kindergarten and through to grade 12. And it's called Sexual Orientation and Gender Identity. And at the very first, when this came out, and I think that I began being aware of it in about 2015, and we just began notifying parents. We wanted parents to know this is what they were teaching the kids. And so I guess that backlash against me is what they would have put on you. And we do know that Artur Pavlovsky has been very outspoken about our rights in Canada to have our Christian beliefs honored, and as well as different faiths in Canada believe the same things, for biological integrity. And so this picture, did they literally show you this picture and make us?
I was shown this
issue?
picture. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I was shown this picture for sure.
I'm really glad that my hair was good that day. But the sadness for me actually is that I feel actually really, I feel sad that you have paid a price for some of what other people have done. But tell me about your personal situation. Other than supporting your sons at an event, this event was your sons, I think they spoke or, had something to do there, but just bringing their story. I want to just say, I have never seen your son be rude, mocking, or disrespectful. He has spoken truth with courage in a very wise way. And I want to say that I have never seen Josh be disrespectful personally. I've never seen it. And even on Jordan Peterson's podcast, the truths that he expressed were with dignity. And it had simply come down to that if you don't celebrate their perspective, apparently in Canada, you can lose your job. So that's where your situation takes a turn, because you are called up on, by the school, surprisingly, a Catholic school. And tell me, so didn't you have union support?
Yeah, we have a union, and the union did their thing and represented us in different meetings. They filed a grievance. However, after the union recognized that our rights were violated, our charter rights, as well as human rights, but they recognized that those charter rights were violated, and they refused to pursue a defense of them. So the union was willing to recognize that, yes, you were unjustly terminated, and we will fight the unjust termination, but we will not recognize, and there's a lot to the story, but we will not recognize the religious discrimination, the loss of freedom of speech and freedom of association to meet in the green room with Laura-Lynn, Thompson, and Artur Pavlovsky. And there's lots of other things, but they were restricting those freedoms, and that would not be pursued by the union. And the union eventually just dropped. They refused to go to arbitration and dropped us. And
they refused to go to arbitration. It's like this is happening. Even lawyers, I remember I belonged to this group where you pay $40 a month and you get free legal help. They'll write letters for you. You know, you just contribute 40 bucks a month. And I remember it was fantastic. I had a few things that got dealt with, you know, until it was an issue where my freedom of speech and an attack on me had come simply because I didn't agree with this agenda, and the lawyers, again, just as you said, they wouldn't do it. So I dropped my 40 bucks a month and said, well, thanks a lot. I mean, when the rubber hits the road, you're not there. So this is exactly what happened to you. And then your wife also faced consequences, and a very strange thing happened with her. She was a homeschooler for many years. You guys took time out to raise your family, and boy, does it show. Your boys are amazing. And then she went back to teach, and they began. It seems like this situation that happens, if you could describe it, with the thing that was put up on her door. I'm just wondering if it was a complete setup.
Yeah, so I don't know. I can't say it was a setup, but it's pretty interesting. So yeah, in short, she showed up to her kindergarten classroom in another school in the school board. She showed up in the morning, walks to the door of her kindergarten classroom, and there is a pride flag on the door, a poster. Now, it's not on the other doors nearby. It's only on her door. She didn't put it there. And so it's early in the morning. She just removed it, put it in the closet, carries on with her day. Shortly thereafter, she's called to the office, and the superintendent's waiting and poses the question, did you remove that pride flag from the door? Which my wife says, yes, I did. And the superintendent informed her that we'll suspend her investigation.
Wow. So she's suspended for removing a pride flag, and my understanding is it's not a requirement, and it's not on any of the other doors.
Right, that's right.
It appears they were watching very closely. And do you think potentially, we can only guess, but they had been made aware of some of the actions, the viral videos on the actions of your sons, and that was what they were perhaps honing in on?
Well, the timing is interesting. I mean, they'd suspended me 3 or 4 weeks prior to that, about 3 weeks, I think it was. So they'd already had their reasons to take me down, and so she didn't last much longer.
Yes, exactly. So what eventually happens to both you and your wife?
So the story with the school board and the union is done in terms of taking action with the union. They've dropped us. So we have filed a human rights complaint against the school board, alleging that our charter rights are violated and our human rights were violated, our creed was violated by the demand of the school board for us to celebrate and affirm LGBTQ issues for kids. And that word celebrate is really important, because it's not a matter of being accepting. It's not a matter of welcoming and treating everyone equally and not discriminating. It's a matter of an order to celebrate something. I don't celebrate Eid for the Muslims. I don't celebrate the Hindu feasts and festivals, and nor do they celebrate Easter, right? So why am I required to celebrate something which is actually contrary to my faith? And so that's where we drew the line in the sand and said no. So that's why we were terminated specifically. So we have filed a human rights complaint. And also, we've filed a duty of fair representation suit against the union at the Labor Board. And that, thankfully, has been taken up by the Justice Center for Constitutional Freedoms, who do great work here in Canada to support situations like this. So they've seen our rights were violated, and they've stepped in, and we've got a legal team backing us on this. And it's an absolute blessing. Thank God for it.
Thank God for it, and amazing. And I'm so glad that is being done. Is there a date where we can look forward to hearing how this goes?
I don't have a date yet. It's all in the slow wheels of justice.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know what the dates will be.
Would you be able to tell me what the personal cost to you and your wife, your family, has been losing your jobs. Did you get a severance or like?
Oh, no, nothing. Absolutely
Nothing.
not. Just don't let the door hit you on the way out. Yeah,
What
no,
about your
absolutely.
pensions?
So pension contributions that were made, those are locked away, right? That's my money. However, with it being cut off so early, I mean, the pension is decimated. So what I've put in is there, but it's not what it was supposed to be, and I wasn't too far away from retirement. So, yeah, no, the loss has been huge. We immediately had to sell our house because our income dropped to zero instantly. And instead of losing the house to the bank, we kind of sold it off quickly, and we've just had to trust and rely and try to get by. So
You have had
retrain.
You have had a friend that has now put up a Give, Send, Go to help you
right.
personally at this time,
Right.
and this is brand new. So it's support canceled teachers Matt and Nicole Alexander. And so this is a place that folks, and we're going to put it in the description right now. I think that, so if you go to Give, Send, Go, I imagine that if you type in the search bar, Matt and Nicole Alexander, that's how this will pop up pretty fast. We will also put this direct link in our description today. And we want people to help you, and I'm actually reaching out to our U.S. Folks that watch this show, and I'm asking that you would see the plight of Canadians. I am an American and a Canadian, and so I have been bringing news of what goes on to both sides. And this is the problem in Canada, that if you do not celebrate, and I think what you've said is very pivotal, Matt, that it's not that we can't be respectful.
That's right.
It's not that we can't honor your choice and free will, because we as Christians know one thing, and that is that free will is God's idea. How you choose to live and how you choose to govern yourself and what you believe is free will. That is the most powerful thing that we have as human beings. We would never take that away because God gave that to us. So we just honor free will. But in this situation, that is not honored as far as respecting you, correct?
That's right. That's right. I have a 23-year record of being respectful and welcoming to students of all different backgrounds. That record is proven. This wasn't about respect. This was about bowing to a new agenda and celebrating. This was bowing to an idol that we were required to do, and it's not going to happen. Not to someone of faith.
Matt, it's in this vein that I would like to ask you, a question, because there are many people that are fighting for the rights of Christians to be able to believe what the Bible says and to have that freedom of thought, freedom of expression, freedom of association. And even though in Canada we don't necessarily have as much freedom to speak, it's not exactly enshrined places, but the same as it is in the United States of America. But I have taken issue quite publicly recently with a post by Sean Foyt, and I wanted you to weigh in light of what you're facing. So this is a Christian, and he has brought forth a post that says we need to reopen mental institutions across America ASAP. So he's speaking to an American audience, but he comes to Canada. And because he comes to Canada recently in Montreal, of course, he had a smoke bomb thrown at him. The LGBTQ gathered. They gather at most places that he goes, I think, and they don't like him. And they are very angry at him. And so I don't know, like, what is your thoughts on this manner of the fight?
Yeah, it's interesting, this this tours that Sean Foyt has been bringing to Canada have definitely highlighted, for sure, the persecutions that we experience in Canada. There's no doubt about that. And I know there's been people trying to deny it, that there is that sort of persecution. Well, there is, and certainly this has brought light and attention to it. But we need to be careful, right, as Christians, because our message is supposed to be one bringing the love of God. And the justice of God. And there's a balance to that. There's two sides. So, I've spent many years in evangelism and public evangelism, street evangelism, and you see a lot of things, you see a lot of people. And does sin need to be pointed out? Yes, it does, but it needs to be pointed out in the right way. So you need to have the right flavor to the way you're doing it. It does need to be respectful to a measure. And let's bring the gospel message of salvation in Christ, his death, burial, resurrection. No one's going to listen to that if they're just straight up insulted. So it needs to be considered in our messaging for sure.
I appreciate your words. And would you say that in your classes, I'm assuming that, and you don't need to say but I'm just assuming that there was probably LGBTQ in your classes at some point. I'm assuming that in your wife's experience, even in the school, I mean, she's in kindergarten, so I doubt very many kindergartners are out and out, identifying as LGBTQ. But would you say that you lived in a manner that was respectful? That would not.
100%.
Yeah. Tell me about your sort of position on respecting someone's choice.
Yeah. So, no, I completely have like I say, 23-year track record of being open, respectful, and very well liked by the students, even the students that didn't teach, very well liked. That goes, no one will debate that. Yet you still hold your Christian stand and your principles. Where was I going with this? I was actually put into positions for, I think, 9 years. I was put into the principal designate position where I'd hold the fort down at the school when the principal was away and handle the discipline, handle the whole sort of moral tone of the school. So yeah, that was always done in a respectful way. I worked with people who had different viewpoints of every kind you can imagine. I worked with people who were fornicators and adulterers. Did I go after them for their activities? No, I didn't have to. Likewise for any of these other issues. I worked with people who were of other religious beliefs than me. Did I go after them because of, no, that's not my role in the school when I'm on the paycheck, and it's not the way I would do it anyways. The gospel's to be presented in a clear way and at the appropriate times, and your life should reflect that. But of course, I work with people of all different beliefs, all different backgrounds and systems of life without issue. And that's the way it should be. But somehow mine is acceptable.
Right. Say that again.
Saying that, having worked with all kinds of people of different backgrounds, beliefs, and lifestyle choices, was totally fine, totally acceptable, but mine is somehow not acceptable in the school system.
That is the strange irony that I respectfully want to submit to those that are LGBTQ pro advancement and all of the things that they want to do. I recently went to a location. It's the first time. It's a downtown Vancouver location, Granville Island, and they have bathrooms that I had to share with dudes. It doesn't even barely have a door on it, really. You go in, and you have to, and it was so jarring, and it was jarring to the other little precious old ladies that were a little, because you go to this place that is a tourist attraction that everybody wants to see in your city, and it is like, is there no room for just common decency and respect in something as personal as going to the bathroom, And so barring that it's just very uncomfortable. I once did say to one of the most well-known people in Canada who is a transgender, Morgan Auger, and I said to him, do you think that it will ever go too far, where you will overstep? And no, doesn't think so. But now this is where we've come to, that if we don't celebrate or believe in this, and it's fairly new as far as coming to the public front. In 2015, I know this, when I tried to tell parents that they're going to tell your kindergartners that they can be any sex, any gender, the parents thought I was crazy, that I was, making stuff up, So I had to convince them. But now we're at a place where if you simply have not the same belief, you could lose your job. Like, that's where you're at.
That's right.
And that's why the JCCF, I guess, is taking this up. And I'm pretty surprised at the union not understanding that or fighting for you. So is it safe to say in Canada that a teachers' union is terrified of this issue?
Yeah, I don't know if they're terrified. I know they've got a lot of money and they're very powerful and they've got a lot of support. So I don't know if they're terrified, but they certainly will do what they can to not bring this issue forward. My union, I guess you would say they're terrified, because my union told me that the situation involving our case was precedent setting, and it was very significant. And my view is it would change if we are supported, if we're victorious in our cases, it's going to change the relationship between all workers and their unions. It's going to change the relationship between all workers and their employers. And it's really going to put a real blocker to this DEI tyranny, I call it, that has been oppressing the Western world. Because we're standing up and saying, okay, the very rules you use against us, we're turning them around and saying, no, we have the rights here too. And all we're asking is the freedom to exist with our own beliefs. We're not asking to disrespect anyone, or never have disrespected anyone. We're simply asking the right to work without having to celebrate something we don't believe in. Because it would be a travesty if we asked somebody else to celebrate something that they didn't believe in. They'd be up in arms.
Yes, fantastic. It is actually so simple the way that you're saying it. And it's so simple the way we believe it. And for myself, as having been a very outspoken person, that we believe that our children and what our children are taught, also that we have parental rights, we have family, like Josh talked about with Professor Jordan Peterson, that this is under attack, and basically we would like the same respect that we have been showing. And for those that don't show respect and are rude, and that's on them. But you have, and your wife have been the epitome of respectful standards for freedom, the charter rights in Canada under the supremacy of God. And so
that's right.
We're going to see what happens. Matt, is there anything more that you'd like to say in closing?
I think I'd just say to everyone in our country, and I'm in Canada, but I'm speaking to the United States as well, because the United States is not far behind where we are. And I have a lot of connections to the U.S. I know it varies from region to region, but the same issues that are plaguing us here are present down there. And I believe the only way out of it, well, of course, God and leaning on God is the way out of it. But boots on the ground, what is required is for people to just not be afraid of guarding their words. And I know in Canada, people say it's a free country, but it's not, because the way people live is they hush their tones, they avoid saying certain things in many environments, and that is the self-condemning evidence that we have allowed ourselves to be conquered by a new tyrannical system. And when you can't speak your mind freely without fear of losing your job or being ostracized or publicly shamed, we have succumbed. And really, that's where we are. And the only way out of it is to speak up and to not be afraid.
That is so profound. And this is the battle that has come to us in North America. And we just honor you, Matt, and your wife, Nicole. Very sorry for what has happened. You've lost your home. You've lost your incomes. And if anyone can help them in North America, if you would like a tax receipt in order to help this Christian family, then you can always send us the money and we will send it in full to Matt and Nicole. But if you would just like to bless them directly, please go to Give, Send, Go. And in the United States, same as well. If you can help this family, many of you are looking for causes as we expose that the mega church has not been helping the common man, but rather buying more homes and enriching themselves. And we're not for that. We're for the gospel as Jesus preached it, that we would not use the gospel for any kind of gain, but rather to preach about Jesus and his immense love for all of us, including the LGBTQ, and that he is for freedom and we are for freedom, and we just really have to demand at this point that you give us the freedom of thought and freedom to live our lives. If you would like to help Matt and Nicole, who have paid a very high price to stand, and this beautiful family with Nick and Josh, then please go to this Give, Send, Go. It is in the description underneath this video. And Matt, I just thank you today, and you have spoken so well. You are the epitome of everything I can stand behind and stand and link arms with to say, this is the actual discrimination in Canada. This is real. This is discrimination. This is not, raising issues that, and, grandstanding and making it like we're just so, persecuted. We have so much freedom. We go to our churches, we gather, we do all kinds of amazing things, but yet, if someone like yourself, a great teacher, and your wife can lose their job simply because you have certain beliefs that you hold to internally that you don't even necessarily sharing in your class or anything, then, and even if you did, that we're so stifled, you're at the crux of this fight, and we stand with you. And I do pray that people will support you, and that what has been stolen from you will be returned to you tenfold. Thank you so much for your time today, Matt, and give our love to Nicole and to Josh and Nick, please. They're awesome.
All right. Thank you so much, Laura-Lynn. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Wow, what a profound individual, and this whole family called to make a stand at this hour, like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And we pray that that God will intervene. And so I'd like to do something sort of I don't usually do, because everybody needs funds. But if you are moved by this story, would you please go to this Give, Send, Go and make a donation, small or large. Help this family who has paid the price. You've heard the truth today. You've heard what's going down. It's just amazing that there's going to be a battle coming up, a tribunal that will try to sort this out. But in the meantime, there is a couple who refuse to bow, and they're in the fire right now. And if you're able to help them, you can, remember that fourth person that showed up in the fire? Well, you can be like that person by helping them to sustain themselves financially at this time and to continue to fight and not have to worry about this. This is quite a deal that has been dealt to this family. It's interesting. Such courage, all in one little tight-knit group. I like it, and I appreciate them. And I also appreciate the respectful manner in which this truth of the freedom to have our own beliefs is being fought in Canada. And it's an important fight, and it's right, it's important that we do it in the right way.